Yo, what is going on, guys? It's Brev. Welcome to my first coaching video for MLB The Show 20. I am going to be doing plenty of these, breaking down gameplays of viewers to try to help them get better. So stay tuned for more episodes. Thanks for checking out the first one. Don't forget to follow me on socials. Twitter is at CBrevMLB. Twitch is twitch.tv/CBrev. So this game is sent to me from one of my very long time viewers, Fedge. If he comments down below, I'll pin it, and I'll do that for all these episodes. He's multi-World Series. He says he makes it pretty consistently every season, but for some reason this season he's been struggling a lot. So we're going to take a look at his gameplay. Keep in mind, a lot of my advice is strategic and not mechanical. It's really hard to give tips on like PCI placement, how to have good swing timing, stuff like that. So we're going to focus on more of the strategic stuff, try to generate advantages, little advantages throughout the game. So let's take a look at his lineup first of all. A couple improvements I would suggest is Ketel, Javi, Vaughn, and you have Jacob deGrom in your rotation. There are a lot better options for a lot of these positions than the guys you have in here. I don't know how your stubs are looking. I know you had 30K in this video, and it's very obvious you're working towards the NL collection, and collections should be a priority. So if you're using these guys because they're locked in and you're poor, makes sense. But if you're looking to like improve some positions, I would definitely look at left field, shortstop first, and one of your starting pitchers. But as far as ordering your lineup, very good. We have some speed at the top, and we're alternating lefty-righty. I like the way you structured this a lot. You could arguably flip Mini and Ketel, but it's not a big deal. Mini hits righties better. Ketel hits lefties better. Reggie hits righties better. Piazza hits lefties better, and we alternate all the way down. So this is a good-looking lineup for you guys that are wondering. I usually like speed at the top, power in the middle, and then alternate righty-lefty. This makes it hard for your opponent to make bullpen and pitching decisions later in the game if you alternate like that. Also, good-looking bench. A lot of potential for double switches with Mini's secondary position, and that's one thing I wanted to bring up. If you're going to run with this lineup, I'd almost personally play Ketel at second, Didi at third, and Mini in left, just because Ketel's defense is really bad. I'd almost rather hide his defense at second base rather than left field, because Mini actually has pretty good fielding in left field. You ended up moving him back and forth throughout the game using your bench really well, but for the start of the game, that's probably what I would do. So let's skip ahead till we get into the game. Nice lineup names, by the way. Wanted to talk about his opponent's lineup really quick. He's got speed at the top, power in the middle as well, so had the right idea, but if you notice, Lofton, Brujan, Griffey, Cap usually has even splits, and then Moncada. 4 out of these 5 are worse against lefties. So, and he didn't end up platooning any of these guys throughout the game, so this is a lineup mistake, in my opinion, from my opponent. Just too many guys that are technically left-handed. Like, even though Brujan and Moncada are switch hitters, they are technically left-handed, in my opinion, based on their attributes. Yeah, so, and then he can use Chipper better for leverage because he has so many lefties in his lineup, and Chipper is a righty. He could definitely have Chipper way higher, sandwiched between some of these high leverage lefties, like if he had him here instead of his Cap, and he had his Cap leading off, and then move Lofton down, something like that. I think there's some room for improvement for his opponent's lineup, just because there's so many guys at the top that are worse against lefties. So as far as general statements, couple things I noticed for you, Fedge. You're swinging probably too often in hitters counts when you have handedness disadvantage and no one on base. So I'm a pretty conservative hitter. I understand people are aggressive hitters. You seem like a semi-aggressive hitter. I'm not telling you to stop being aggressive, because it definitely worked out for you in this game. But situations like this, even though you get a hit here at 18-18, it's a 3-1 count, nobody on base, and you have Mike Piazza up. I would hardly ever swing at this pitch here, just because the biggest upside is a solo home run, right? Which you're probably not going to get very often from Mike Piazza versus a righty. So you swung at this in this situation quite a bit in this game, and it even works out for you. Like in this at bat, you rip a single up the middle. Again, try to avoid results-based thinking. Just because it was a single doesn't mean it was necessarily good. It was a good swing, and considering you are a pretty aggressive hitter, it's fine to swing at these pitches, but maybe once or twice throughout the game, just tell yourself to take here. It's kind of like ranges in poker, right? I'll probably take this pitch 70% of the time and swing 30% of the time just to keep my opponent honest. For you, it's okay to probably swing 70% of the time, but at least 30% of the time, try to take a pitch here, because sometimes you get a walk and you don't have a whole lot of upside for swinging in this situation, in my opinion. Here's another example of it. This ends up being a 3-1 count, I believe, or 2-1. Yeah, 3-1 count, Javi Baez. If Baez walks, you also get to turn your lineup over because he is in the 8 hole, so that's a pretty big deal. And here's a situation where you swung 3-1 and you were late and flew out. So, not saying it was bad. I understand the approach, but just every now and then try to tell yourself to take that pitch. I think it'll help you out a lot. As a general statement, you hit off speed much better than other pitches. A lot of your runs came from off speed, notably the clutch home run here from Christian Yelich on a curveball. I would definitely play to your strengths rather than to fix your weaknesses, because your strengths are really good, and one of your biggest strengths is hitting off speed. So I would continue to use the approach of focusing on hitting off speed. That being said, you can fix one thing. A lot of your outs this game, right on right, were on sinkers inside. You were swinging late on those pitches a lot. And so what I would suggest is in right on right situations, especially if you're behind in the count, I would just try to speed your bat up a little bit, because a lot of the outs you made right on right this game were on sinkers inside. It seemed to be a weakness of yours. I know you're facing Kluber and it's hard, but just try to consciously speed your bat up if you're at a disadvantage in a right on right situation moving forward. So let's get into some situational stuff now. Bottom second, I believe. I should have timestamped this. My bad, dudes. Yeah, we're almost there. So it's 1-0. Also, great play here. So let's start here. His opponent's got second and third, 1 out. Chipper Jones up, who hits lefties better, and his opponent has shown that he's been super aggressive in this at bat. You can tell he knows he really wants to get these runs in, and that Chipper has an advantage here. So good job here, throwing a ball in the dirt with count leverage. If he's going to chase it, you're going to take that. And then he accidentally sends a runner here, or maybe on purpose. So Fedge throw cancels and goes to third and gets the out. So that's a great play. I probably would have wussied out and thrown to first, but you did get the out, and that's huge for you. So good job. And then after that, 8 hole up, Joey Gallo actually has better attributes versus lefties as well. This is a fantastic intentional walk. Gallo can tag you for 3 there. Instead, we get Kluber up with 2 outs. Really good job here. I talk about this a lot. Sometimes you get punished for it, but most of the time this is a good play. Much rather just face Kluber here, get out of the inning without giving up any runs, and let your opponent turn the lineup over. One thing I would suggest in this situation that you did not do is I would put the outfield shallow. You can do that by hitting down on the D-pad to make defensive adjustments. The only reason I would do that is because none of your 3 outfielders have incredible speed, right? So it's not unlikely that he could bloop one over your infielders and your outfielders won't be able to get there. So usually when I intentionally walk to get to the pitcher, I just end up putting my outfield shallow just so I don't get blooped on. If this ball ended up somewhere like right here, you could be in some trouble there. So a little bit of a misplay, I think, but it's fine. You got out of the inning. So moving on to the 3rd inning here, we end up being down 3-1, I believe. Yeah, let's see. When did you start warming people up here? So he tags you back to back, makes it 3-1. I think it's when you start hitting. Let's see. Basically, what happened is it's a 3-1 game. His opponent has really only taken 2 swings that were good the entire game so far. And what Fedge ends up doing here in the bottom of the 3rd while he's hitting is he warms up Charlie Morton. I don't think there's any reason to warm up Charlie Morton here. you probably just have to stick with Hal and trust him at least for one more inning. Your number one hitter is up, so unless you have a huge inning, your pitcher's not going to hit this inning. And if you have a huge inning, you're probably best leaving Hal in anyway in that situation. So there's really no reason to warm someone up here. It's only 3-1. He's only really taken 2 good swings. Stick with Hal for now. Yeah, that's just my advice on that one. We have an at-bat with Reggie Jackson in this inning that I want to talk about. I thought it was a very good at-bat. Also, home run on an off-speed pitch. So let's just watch that at-bat. Watch this at-bat here. It's a one-pitch at-bat. I just debated you guys, didn't I? Why is this a good at-bat? I want you guys to think about why this is a good at-bat here. So one-pitch comebacker to the pitcher, right? So this is a good at-bat because of the last at-bat. Cattell takes him deep on a slurve, right? I often talk about people overcompensating when they make mistakes or when bad things happen. So this guy gives up a tank on a slurve. Especially at lower levels, you can almost bet the house that the next pitch is going to be a sinker after this. He's not going to double up on a pitch he just gave up a tank on. It's just a subconscious psychological thing. This is what happens most of the time. And so it's very obvious he's going to come in with a sinker here. You also have your 3-hole Reggie Jackson, who crushes righties and is the tying run at the plate. So swinging first pitch at a sinker down the middle here is actually an insanely good at bat and a good approach there. You can't fix mechanical errors. You can only really practice and get better at hitting over time. This was an incredible at bat that didn't result in anything, but great decisions made all around, and all that happened was your PCI was just a little bit above the ball. So just wanted to praise you for that. It doesn't look pretty, one pitch comebacker, but it was really, really good. Let's skip ahead to bottom 4th. You get a little bit of a rally going here, I believe. Oh, maybe not. But let's look at the situation here. I'm sorry, I'm skipping through the video. This is just the most efficient way to do this. 7-hole up, only 1 out. You should be warming someone up here. There's no one warming up in your bullpen at the moment. There's plenty of situations where your 9-hole gets up here, and considering that you're losing, and for your 9-hole to get up in this inning, someone will be on base. You should definitely be warming someone up here, and if that situation comes up, you should definitely be pinch hitting because you are losing. Your bullpen's pretty rested. Most of them are. Yeah, that would be a good time to take Hal out. So I don't think you warmed anyone up, and I think you went 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's the Javi Baez fly out. But just a little thing there. Don't forget to warm people up when you are in that situation. So he ends up going down 5-2 on another home run. This is also very good. When this inning starts, he goes into the pause menu to look at what pitches his opponent is throwing first pitch. So you can do this in the menu. It's pretty good. He's throwing mostly sinkers and slurves. First pitch is the information that is gained here. But here's a little bit of a mistake in my opinion. We're down 5-2, bottom 5th, so Hal's already thrown 5 innings. I talk often about recognizing win conditions and loss conditions. You are behind, and I don't feel, in my opinion, that you have the leverage or the capability to leave Hal in the game at this point. This should 100% be a pinch hit. You're down by 3. You only have to throw 4 more innings with your bullpen. Your win condition is catching up, right? If you leave Hal in, you're giving him an out, and you're running out of outs while being behind. So I would definitely pinch hit here. You elected to leave him in. I think that was a mistake. Like I said, win conditions, loss conditions. Being down in this situation, I don't think you have the leverage to be able to leave Hal in here. It's very greedy, in my opinion, especially considering he's given up a run an inning on average so far. So I understand if your bullpen was tired, but it wasn't that tired. Let's go to bottom 6th now. Let's skip ahead a little more. So bottom 6, we get a little bit of a rally going here. And there's a play right here. I think it's this next pitch. So there's a runner on second, 1 out. Brandon Marsh at the plate. He's swinging away. I also wanted to talk about opponent pitch sequencing in this spot as well. So here's the previous at bat. Mike Piazza crushes a sinker right down the middle for a double. And look at the next two pitches his opponent throws. This is, again, overcompensation, especially at low levels. People don't double up on things that you just destroyed. People don't double up on pitches that were just absolutely crushed. So he gives up a double on a sinker. That ball was ripped. Next pitch is a slurve. Pitch after that is a changeup. So you could probably have predicted this as well. Where those pitches ended up weren't entirely hittable, but it was pretty obvious he was going to go to off speed there. And now that he's got you swinging very early, he'll probably go back to the hard stuff here. But you end up ripping a single right up the middle on a changeup. He did not double up, or he did not switch it up. He just stuck with the slow stuff. So good swing there. And here's a situation. This is very This is very micro, and it just comes with time and also with limit testing. But if we pause right here, you're pretty much at third base. I know it's Ken Griffey Jr. in center field. And if we watch this in normal time, I think you were probably safe here if you sent the runner. You elected to not send the runner. It's pretty close, but I think you were in there. So good play, because if you're unsure at all, especially in a situation like this, you should definitely hold the runner. But just in my opinion, with how much I've played this year, I'm pretty sure you were safe by a couple steps there. So I don't know, just wanted to point that out. You didn't necessarily do anything wrong. In fact, if you weren't sure if you're going to be safe, you definitely did something right there. But just for the people watching, decided to put that in there. So let's skip ahead. Top 7. The irony of not pitching with Hal, or pinch hitting for Hal earlier, is that now when we get to top 7, it's actually really good for you to leave Hal in, and you elect to do so, which is a good thing. Also, we get Kluber out after 6 innings, which is always a plus. But if let's see if you go to your bullpen, pull up your bullpen here. You do not. You did it before. Here. So if we look at his lineup, he's going 9-1-2. Remember, we talked about the top of his lineup is much worse against lefties, kind of all the way through until like the 6th hole. So leaving Hal in is really good. You could go with Plesac, but Hal's just better than Plesac, and Hal is also due up next inning. So good job leaving Hal in here. Even though I said to take him out earlier, the circumstances are different now, so good job leaving him in there. Skipping ahead to bottom 7, opponent brings in David Price. We immediately go to Mike Schmidt, which is nice. Here, again, people that hit lefties worse, Griffey, Cap, and Moncada. So you warm up Chapman. You end up bringing Chapman in. Good call there. This is a product of poor lineup construction from his opponent. So way to take advantage of that. So someone gets on here. I think it's Minnie. Yeah, Minnie gets on, and I just wanted to say good job on this. If we watch him up in the corner here, he's dancing a lot. I talk about this a lot, especially in high leverage situations. He's doing a good job of kind of dancing, pressing L1, R1, just being a distraction. And here in a 3-1 count with the tying run at the plate, you got your opponent throwing over to first base. So this is obviously taking a toll on him psychologically. So good job. Don't be lazy, especially in a situation like this. You have speed. I don't know if it's correct to steal here. You could probably do it if you got a huge jump. But with how much attention your opponent's paying to you at first base, I would probably just keep dancing and then look for a mistake, because he's clearly worried about you enough that he slide steps a fastball right down the middle in a 3-1 count to Ketel Marte, who hits lefties way better. So causation and correlation are different, but because your opponent slide stepped, he ended up throwing a fastball right down the middle. He could have thrown it without slide stepping, but slide stepping does affect your control on the mound. Bottom line, great job distracting him. You got a fat pitch to hit here, and you crushed it. This is also a what face. Your opponent didn't get the rob, but you also didn't get the home run. It just bounced back in play. Super weird. This is probably off speed every time. It was not. It was a fastball again. I guess I don't know what I'm talking about. Coach, by the way. But yeah, nice little RBI single there. And also really good play here. Tying run coming to the plate. It's going to be a close play. You end up sending Reggie to second base here. This is an amazing play from you. Your opponent is throwing home here every time. Griffey's got a cannon. He doesn't want you to tie the game. Obviously, nobody would want you to tie the game here. So running to second with Reggie is just like a freebie right here. So nice job. not staying at first base. Going on to top 8, you end up doing a double switch, which I'm not a huge fan of. You're doing a lot of really cute things with your left field third base, taking advantage of Minnie Minoso's secondary positions, and it works kind of, but it's it's a little too cute for me, honestly, especially when we get to the ninth inning. I don't know if this double switch is completely necessary there, unless you're going to throw Chapman for more than one inning. The reason I'm not a huge fan of it is because it actually makes your outfield defense worse. If we look at, you end up, what do we do here? We end up moving Minnie to third base. No, we move Minnie to left and Schmidt to third. So we replaced Schmidt with who was in center, which is Brandon Marsh. So Minoso, probably a worse fielder than Marsh. Schmidt's fine at third, but given the game state, I probably would take the outfield defense over this double switch stuff. So just my opinion, it's not necessarily a bad play, but just something to talk about there. Two more things, and then we'll wrap it up. We end up taking the lead here on that juicy Yelich home run, which nice work there. And then we go to the bottom of the ninth. We're not there yet. Here we are. You're doing another double switch here. Yelich pinch hit, so there's not a whole lot you can do here besides this. So nice working with your secondary positions again, but I wanted to talk about the state of your outfield now. And this is why this double switching and these secondary positions are kind of a little too cute in my opinion. Let's look at your outfield defense and let's talk about win-loss conditions. So your outfield defense now is Yelich in left, Reggie in right, and Quintel in center. That is atrocious outfield defense. And you're up 7-5 in the ninth inning. So this is very common. It's very simple, something that happens a lot in real life, and you don't really think about why. But the reason ninth inning defensive substitutions or late inning defensive substitutions are so popular, especially in real life, is because of win-loss conditions. We're winning. The way that we lose is by giving up more runs. How do we prevent giving up more runs? By getting better defense, right? So that's kind of the logic behind it. You end up stranding Buxton on your bench here. I think that's a big mistake. What I would probably do is I would probably move Minnie to, I'd probably go Quintel second, Didi third, Minnie left, Buxton in center, and then we end up just taking Yelich out at this point. So not having Buxton on the field for this ninth inning is a big mistake. What Byron Buxton brings to the table is insane speed and defense. So definitely got to get them in here, because one of the ways you could lose this game is by your slow, poor defensive outfield not getting to balls in the gap or bloop singles. So yeah, this poor outfield defense is a product of all the substitutions you made, and yes, one of those substitutions being Christian Yelich gave you the lead, but given the state now, you got to put Buxton in, long story short. And then one last thing, before you make this move, you just went ahead and did it here. You threw Chapman to Bell here, which is good because Bell actually hits lefties worse, which is a good job knowing your attributes there. You always want to understand what your opponent's hitters' attributes are. Now we got Chipper up and we go to Eck. I just wanted to say real quick, make sure you mound visit before you make this substitution. There's a glitch in the game where if you use the quick menu and you don't mound visit beforehand, your pitcher may come in with yellow energy and no confidence. So the way you prevent that glitch is by either mound visiting before you make a pitching change. That's what I do as just like a habit now. Or you can use the standard menu by pressing options instead of the quick menu. Those are the two ways to prevent the glitch. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Eckersley comes in, locks it down. Gets the save. Nice, well-played game there, man. You are definitely capable of making World Series consistently, just like you had before. The slump may be a little mental as well. Hopefully some of this will help you. Hopefully this helped some of you viewers watching this. Many more coaching sessions to come. Thank you again if you made it this far. The support this year has been crazy. I love all you guys. Stay tuned for the next coaching episode and let me know how I did in this one. Any constructive criticism is much welcome in the comments. So thank you guys. See you later.